The classroom was too quiet. It wasn't the usual kind of quiet before a lesson. It was the kind of quiet that made your skin crawl like the whole room was holding its breath. Professor Henley tapped the edge of his desk, trying to ease the tension. His fingers drummed the wood as his eyes scanned the students. A mix of human and alien faces stared back, some curious, others nervous. It was Earth's first interspecies university, and this was Biology 102, Anatomy and Evolution. Normally, this class didn't feel like a pressure chamber. But today was different. Before we begin today's lecture, Professor Henley said, voice firm but kind, we have a volunteer. A live presentation of alien anatomy. One of your fellow students has agreed to help us all learn. He looked toward the middle row, every head turned. She stood slowly. Her skin shimmered in hues of violet and silver, almost translucent near the joints. A soft hum came from her body like energy flowed just under the surface. She looked young, same age as the others, but her eyes, they held something ancient. Her name was Karila. She walked to the front, bare feet quiet on the metal floor. The humans shifted in their seats, unsure if they should look away or stare. No one really understood her species. Not even the AI translator fully captured her language, and her biology was still a mystery to Earth's scientists. But she had raised her hand earlier that week and said she would show them, not in a drawing, not through a hologram, but live, herself. I wish to share, she had said, her voice like music. We must learn if we are to live together. Professor Henley handed her a privacy screen, a soft field of light she could activate with a touch. She waved it away. No screen, she said. No secrets. Some students gasped. A few laughed nervously. One boy near the back raised his hand halfway, then lowered it. And then, the door slammed open. A man rushed in military uniform, gray eyes, pulse. Rifle slung across his back. Sorry to interrupt, he said, breathless. There's been an attack on the East Wing. People froze. Is this a drill? Professor Henley asked. No, real strike. Explosion came from inside the alien dormitories. Every student turned toward Karila. She didn't move. Her expression didn't change, but something in her shimmer dimmed. Who attacked? She asked softly. We don't know yet, the soldier answered. But the Trinari wing was hit hardest. Karila was Trinari. Professor Henley looked at her, then back at the students. Class dismissed. Move in pairs, stay calm. But Karila didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward toward the center of the classroom, fingers gently pulling at the collar of her uniform. She looked at the human students. I said I would show you who I am, she whispered. And now you fear me? No. One said that, a girl replied, uncertain. You don't have to do this now, Professor Henley said. This isn't the time. But Karila turned her back to them and opened her coat halfway. Her spine glowed with faint lines, veins of energy beneath skin that seemed not quite solid, not quite liquid. Her body revealed not organs, but patterns moving, shifting shapes that pulsed with life. Her kind didn't have bones or blood. They were made of something else. Something alive, but not biological in the way humans understood. It is better to see the truth than hide behind fear, she said. Then, the lights flickered. A second explosion sounded in the distance, closer this time. The soldier raised his rifle. We need to move, now. Karila turned to the class, her body still half open, her light dimming. I think someone wants the school to fail, she said. They want us to fear each other before we understand each other. And then, without warning, the window shattered. A small black drone zipped into the room, glowing red and humming with energy. The soldier yelled something, but it was too late. Karila leaped straight at the drone. There was a flash of light. A pulse wave through desks across the room. The air buzzed, the fire alarm screamed, and smoke filled the space. When the dust settled, Karilla lay on the ground, chest sparking with energy. The drone was in pieces. The soldiers stared, stunned. She jumped right into it. Professor Henley knelt beside her. "Karilla, can you hear me?" Her light flickered. I was showing them," she whispered. Then a boy, Ely, a quiet student from the front row, stepped forward. She didn't just show us anatomy, she showed us courage. They all looked at her differently now. She had exposed herself in more ways than one, and maybe saved their lives doing it, and no one could forget what she risked. Or what was still coming. Because if someone had attacked the Trunari dorms, it meant war was closer than anyone thought. And no one knew which side had started it. But something was clear now. This wasn't just about biology. It was about survival. Karilla was carried to the medbay by two soldiers in armored suits. Her body was too light for something that looked alive. The glowing patterns on her skin had gone dim. The nurse looked frightened when she saw her, but tried to hide it behind her mask. Professor Henley and Ely followed close behind, their minds still spinning from what had just happened. Inside the medbay, a machine scanned Karilla's body. There were no bones to check, no blood pressure to measure. The medical AI kept pausing, unable to classify half the readings. Every alert that popped up read, "Unknown structure, unknown function." She risked her life to protect us, Ely said quietly, standing beside the medical bed. "Why would anyone attack her people?" "I don't think this is just about her people," Professor Henley muttered. "Someone doesn't want the species here mixing. And now we've seen what she really is." Ely looked down at Karilla. Her eyes were closed, her chest barely rising. She had shown everything, her anatomy, her core, her trust, and what did she get in return? A drone strike. The medbay door opened again. A tall man in a black coat walked in, no uniform, no name tag. His face was cold, like someone who smiled only when ordered to. "I'm Director Roan," he said to Professor Henley. "Government Oversight Division. We're already being watched?" Henley asked. "We always were, but now things have escalated." Roan looked at Karilla and frowned. "She's dangerous." "She saved my students," Henley replied. Sharply, she exposed herself, literally to help us understand her biology. Then she protected the class with her body. "She drew the drone in," Roan said. "Intentionally or not. She volunteered for a live demonstration just when the attack happened. Too convenient." Ely stepped forward. "That's not fair. She didn't even flinch when that drone came in. She jumped at it to protect us. You didn't see what we saw." Roan ignored him. "She'd be taken to the restricted ward. We'll study her more safely there." Professor Henley looked furious. "She's a student, not a specimen. She's both now." Roan turned and left. Two guards entered a moment later, ready to move her. But Karilla opened her eyes. "I will go," she said weakly. "But only if Ely comes." Everyone froze. Eli's face turned pale. "Me? Why?" "You saw me," she whispered. "You believed me. If I must be studied, let at least one voice speak truth." Henley placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. "It's your choice, son." Eli nodded slowly. "I'll go with her. Later." In the restricted ward deep under the university, Eli sat beside Karilla. He watched through the transparent barrier as machines floated around her. She lay still, too exhausted to speak much, but she watched him back with tired eyes. "Why did you volunteer that day?" he finally asked. She looked up. "Because I heard the whispers. That we hide something. That we breed to infiltrate. Not to learn. I wanted to show them I am real." He frowned. "Is that why they attacked your dorm?" Karilla nodded slowly. "There are enemies on both sides. Not everyone wants humans and Trunari to study together. Some fear it will lead to blending." "Blending?" "Sharing thoughts, feelings, maybe even lives. Eli didn't fully understand. But he didn't interrupt. My people believe that full understanding comes only when you let another see all of you, she said. Not just your skin, but your form, your function, your fears. Eli stared. And you showed us everything. She gave a weak smile. Almost everything. The lights dimmed. Suddenly, the floor shook. Alarms blared. Another explosion closer this time. The door to the ward slammed shut. Lockdown. Eli stood, heart pounding. What now? From the other room, Professor Henley's voice came through the intercom. Eli, stay with her. The upper floors were just hit. Someone is breaching the university from underground. Carilla sat up, despite the pain. They're coming for me, or for what I carry. What do you carry? Eli asked, backing closer. Carilla looked at him. Carefully, I told you, I showed you my body. But not everything inside. There is a core. A living seed. It connects to our world's memory. If they take me, they take what's left of my people's history. Eli swallowed hard. Then they can't have it. Suddenly, the lights cut out completely. Footsteps echoed down the hall. And this time, they weren't from any university guard. They were heavier. They weren't coming to ask questions. They were coming to erase something. Or someone. And Eli realized. The biology class was over. Now it was a war for knowledge and for the truth. Carilla had dared to share. Asterisk. The emergency lights flickered red, casting the hallway in a dim, bloody glow. The air smelled like burning wires. From behind the reinforced glass wall, Eli heard the heavy footfalls getting closer. Not running, just steady, confident, like whoever was coming knew no one could stop them. Carilla sat upright on the bed now, even though her body still trembled with pain. The shimmering glow along her spine had returned slightly, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. They're not human, she said softly. I can feel the vibrations in the floor, mechanical joints. Heavy armor, they're mercenaries. Eli backed toward the corner of the room. But how did they even get in here? This is university ground. Carilla looked at him. Not everyone respects borders when knowledge becomes dangerous. Eli turned to the small wall panel near the door. There has to be a manual override. Something I can use to open this from inside. They sealed us in, she said, standing slowly. And they will break in soon. Outside, something pounded against the outer blast door. The sound was dull but deep, like a steel battering ram hitting reinforced titanium. Alile's fingers moved quickly across the panel. Nothing worked. It's locked from the security tower. We're trapped in here. Carilla stepped beside him and placed her hand on the panel. Her fingers glowed faintly. Suddenly, the screen blinked green. Eli's eyes widened. How did you? My biology is my key, she whispered. We're not just flesh. We interface with energy. Machines feel us like you feel warmth. The door slid open. But the hallway was not empty. 3 figures stood there tall, black-armored, helmets smooth and featureless. No insignias, no words, just weapons drawn. One of them stepped forward and raised his weapon. Carilla moved in front of Eli. Step aside, the armored man said. His voice was distorted, robotic. We only want the alien. She's not going with you, Eli said, trying to keep his voice from shaking. You can't protect her. Carilla stood tall, though her knees bent slightly from weakness. He doesn't have to. I protect myself. The moment that words left her mouth, her skin began to glow again. Brighter this time. The pulse from her chest grew louder, a low hum that vibrated through the walls. One of the mercenaries took a step back. She's activating her core. Carilla held out her hand. The glow stretched into the hallway, forming thin lines in the air, threads of energy like silver wire. They whipped out, striking the weapons, making them spark. But the mercenaries were fast. The first one fired. The pulse hit Karilla square. In the chest, she fell to her knees, gasping. Eli screamed and ran forward without thinking. He grabbed the fallen weapon from the flora. Security baton dropped during the chaos and swung it hard into the nearest soldier's helmet. It didn't break, but it cracked the visor. The second merc turned on him, rifle raised, but Karilla's hand lashed out. A beam of light shot from her palm, blinding and hot. It struck the soldier's chest plate, melting it. The man fell, armor hissing with steam. The third merc hesitated. "Retreat," he barked, dragging the wounded one. "We didn't expect her to recover this fast." The hallway fell silent again. Karilla was slumped on the floor, her body shaking. Eli knelt beside her, breathing hard. "You didn't have to do that," she said, voice weak but clear. "Yes," Eli replied. "I did." Alarms still rang in the distance. Somewhere, guards were finally moving toward the blast site. But it was too late. The attackers had come and gone. Professor Henley's voice came over the intercom again. "Eli, Karilla, are you safe?" "We're here," Eli answered. They came for her. They knew where to look. Karilla looked up at him. They were after the core. Eli helped her stand. "What is this core, really? Why is it so important?" She hesitated, then placed a hand over her chest. "It's not just knowledge, it's memory. Living memory. From my people. Every generation adds to it. Every death feeds it. It holds songs, stories, wars, love. Everything. We are. And when one of us dies, a piece returns to the root." Eli stared at her. "You're like a living library." "Yes, but if they steal the core from me, they can twist the memory. Erase things, rewrite our history." They reached the exit of the restricted ward. Soldiers had finally arrived, real ones this time. Human military with Earth badges. Roan was there too, eyes colder than before. "What happened down there?" he demanded. Karilla looked straight at him. "Ask your own systems. They let them in." Roan's face didn't change. "The situation is under control now. You'll both be moved to high-security custody until we know more." Eli shook his head. "No, she needs protection, not a cage." Roan's voice sharpened. "This is not a debate." Karilla leaned close to Eli and whispered something in her language, soft, musical. "What did you say?" he asked. She looked at him, then at Roan. "I said the war already started," she answered. "But not the kind fought with weapons. It's a war for truth. And it's happening right here." Eli didn't know it yet, but she was right. And the real fight was only beginning. They were moved to a high-security research wing the same night. Not a prison, but it felt like one. The walls were metal, the ceiling hummed. Guards stood outside with rifles across their chests. Every door locked twice, once by human keycards, once by Karilla's biocode. Karilla sat on a padded bench in her new room, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees. She was healing, but slowly. Her inner glow had returned, but faint. The blast had drained her core. She didn't show pain, but Eli saw it in the stiffness of her movements. Her energy came back like a flickering flame, trying not to die out. Eli paced outside her room, unable to sit still. Every time he passed the mirror on the wall, he caught a glimpse of himself and didn't recognize who he was anymore. He wasn't just a student now. He was part of something bigger. A door opened. Behind him, Professor Henley walked in, looking exhausted, dark rings under his eyes. "They're calling for an investigation," Henley said. "They want to know why she activated her core, why she resisted arrest. Some even want her removed from Earth." "Removed?" Eli asked. "She didn't attack anyone. She defended herself. She saved me twice." "I know, but this isn't just science anymore. It's politics, power, and fear." Eli leaned against the wall. "What do they think she's going to?" Do? Explode? Start a war? Henley lowered his voice. Some think she's a messenger. Or a test. They say the Trinari are using her to study our reactions. If we accept her, more will come. If we fear her, they'll back off or attack first. That's insane, Eli said. She volunteered. She wanted to teach. Henley nodded. But not everyone sees it that way. Inside her room, Carilla finally opened her eyes. Eli, she said softly through the speaker. Come in. He stepped through the sensor door. It closed silently. Behind him, she studied his face for a moment. You're worried, he nodded. They want to send you away. Or lock you up forever. She looked down at her hands. I knew the risk. Why did you really volunteer? Eli asked. Don't say it was just for learning. There's more. I can tell. Carilla took a long breath. The glow under her skin dimmed and pulsed slowly. There's something hidden, she said. A truth buried deep inside the core I carry. Not just about my species, about Earth. Eli blinked. Earth? What do you mean? She looked at him. Long ago, our ancestors came near this system. They passed Earth. They didn't land, but they saw something. A signal. A message from your ancient world. Something impossible. Eli's voice went. Quiet. What kind of message? A memory pattern. Similar to the Trinari core. It wasn't sent by machines, but by minds. Human minds. Before your species even had radio. That's not possible. Carilla stood slowly, her spine straightening, her voice more steady now. Unless your kind once had something greater. Something that was lost, or taken. Eli stepped back. You're saying humans had something like your memory core? Yes, and someone erased it. Outside the room, one of the guards leaned closer to the wall. He had an earpiece. He pressed it and spoke softly. Confirmed, she knows. Carilla turned her head. They're listening. Eli moved fast. He yanked the wall panel open and ripped out the small black listening device hidden behind the vent. Sparks flew. I'm sick of this. He shouted. She's not a threat. She's a witness. Carilla placed a hand on his arm. Calm, listen. If my core is connected to something Earth lost, then someone doesn't want that memory found again. Eli looked at her, heart pounding. Then we need to find it. Before they silence you for good. Professor Henley burst into the room. Both of you, come with me, now. What's happening? Eli asked. Henley looked furious. They've declared her core a biological weapon. She's being transferred to a military lab, off-world. No, Eli shouted. Carilla didn't move. It was only a matter of time. Henley pointed down the hallway. There's a maintenance tunnel under the wing. No cameras. If you want her out, it's your only chance. Eli stared at the professor. You're helping us? I didn't. Become a teacher to hand over students to be dissected, Henley said. Now go. I'll delay them. Carilla stepped forward, weak but steady. Thank you, Professor. Henley nodded once. Tell your people, not all humans are afraid. The lights above turned red. Security lockdown. Sirens wailed. Carilla and Eli ran into the tunnel. No plan. No map, just hope and one truth. If what Carilla remembered was real, then Earth wasn't just a home. It was a puzzle, and someone powerful wanted that puzzle to stay broken. The maintenance tunnel was narrow and dark, lit only by blinking red emergency lights. The metal floor rattled under their feet as Carilla and Eli ran, side by side. Her steps were slow at first, but with each turn, her glow brightened. The closer they moved toward open ground, the stronger she became. Eli gripped a small flashlight he had taken from the wall unit. It flickered, but it was better than nothing. Do you know where we're going? He asked between breaths. Carilla pointed downward. The memory signal is below. What signal? She didn't stop. the one we found long ago. It still pulses underground, even now. Buried under Earth's skin, beneath human buildings and forgetfulness. Eli had no idea what she meant, but he trusted her now more than anyone else. Behind them, alarms echoed through the vents. Security had discovered their escape. They didn't have much time. They passed old pipes and sealed doors. Finally, Karilla stopped at a rusted panel. Her hand hovered over it. The glow from her palm spread into the metal like ink and water. With a soft hiss, the wall slid open. Eli looked inside. This isn't a tunnel, it's an old elevator shaft. Karilla stepped in. We go down. Eli hesitated, then followed. There were no controls inside, no buttons. Only silence and dust. Then, with a low rumble, the floor beneath them dropped. They were descending. Very fast. Where does this go? Eli asked, gripping the side. Karilla closed her eyes. To what was hidden. Long ago, before Earth forgot. The elevator stopped with a heavy clunk. The door opened into a massive underground dome, dark, ancient, and humming softly with invisible power. Thick roots, metal cables, and strange stone pillars spiraled along the walls. In the center was a large sphere, floating above the ground. It glowed faintly pale blue and silver like a sleeping star. Eli whispered, "What is that?" Karilla walked toward it, her body glowing in rhythm with the sphere. This is what my people saw from space, a memory echo. A broken seed of what humans once were. Eli stepped closer. You said humans had a core like yours? Yes, she said. But someone silenced it. Sealed it. You can feel it. Can't you? Eli nodded slowly. A warmth filled his chest, like an emotion he couldn't name. It wasn't just knowledge, it was something deeper. A connection. Why are you showing me this? He asked. Karilla looked at him. Because you're human. And because you believed me when no one else did. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the dome, cold, sharp, familiar. Step away from the relic. They turned. Director Roan stood at the top of the stairs, flanked by 5 armed guards. Their rifles were aimed. His face was unreadable. You led us here, Roan said. Thank you. You followed us? Eli shouted. You activated an old elevator that hasn't moved in 2 centuries. Of course we followed. We were just waiting to see where you'd lead us. Karilla stood between the soldiers and the sphere. Her glow brightened. This is not a weapon. Roan's voice turned cruel. Then why is it buried like one? Karilla took a step forward. Because someone feared what would happen if humans remembered who they truly were. You expect me to believe that humanity forgot its own power? Karilla nodded. Yes, you've built ships and colonies, but not memories. Your ancestors had something greater, but someone erased it. Roan raised a hand. Fire. The guards didn't move. Their guns shook, but none of them fired. Eli stepped beside Karilla. Look at it, he said, pointing to the sphere. That thing, it's not dead. It's waiting. The guards lowered their rifles slightly. One of them whispered, I feel something. Roan's eyes narrowed. You're all weak. He grabbed a sidearm and pointed it himself. Before he could shoot, the sphere pulsed once loudly. A shockwave knocked Roan and his men backward. The ground trembled. Karilla dropped to her knees, eyes glowing. It hurt us, she said. It recognized human voice. Eli, it responded to you. Eli's body buzzed like static. The pulse of the sphere synced with his heartbeat. Suddenly, images flooded his mind, not visions, but feelings, deep instincts, old emotions, entire lifetimes compressed into seconds. Children laughing under golden skies. Cities made of light. A time when thought moved faster than sound, when memory itself was shared, passed down not by books, but by energy. He gasped. I saw it, he said. What we were. Karilla reached for his hand. Then you must choose now. Wake the rest. or let it sleep again. Behind them, Roan rose, bruised and furious. "I won't let this spread," he growled. Eli looked at K***Rilla. Then he turned to the sphere and stepped forward. A blue light opened in front of him like a blooming flower, and Earth, for the first time in thousands of years, began to remember. The sphere's light wrapped around Eli like a soft humming breeze. It didn't burn. It didn't hurt. It simply knew him, not just his name but his memories, his fears, his dreams, his family, his past. And somewhere, deep within it, the sphere recognized his species, not just as survivors, but as something lost, something it had been waiting for. K***rilla stood beside him, her hand still holding his. Her eyes were wide, glowing brighter than ever. "You unlocked it," she whispered. "I didn't do anything," Eli said, voice shaking. "You were enough," she replied. "The human signal. It needed someone pure. Someone who didn't seek power. Someone who listened." Behind them, Director Roan stumbled to his feet, blood at the edge of his mouth. The guards were dazed from the wave, but he wasn't finished. He raised his weapon again, stepped back from the sphere. He roared, "That thing is rewriting your brain. It's restoring it," K***rilla said firmly. Roan aimed at her chest. "You don't belong here." But Eli stepped between them. "Neither do you," Eli said. "You knew, didn't you? You always knew something was hidden under the school." Roan lowered the gun slightly. His jaw tightened. "It was classified. Buried in records from long before I was born. But it doesn't matter anymore. If word of this gets out, Earth will fall apart. Religion, government, science, order. You think they'll handle knowing they were once more?" Eli looked back at the glowing sphere. "Then they deserve to know. All of us do." Suddenly, more figures appeared at the upper edge of the dome, but these were not soldiers. Trinar, 6 of them. K***rilla's people. Tall and glowing. Each one with shimmering patterns down their bodies. Different colors. Like stars come alive. They had arrived. K***rilla's eyes filled with tears. The signal reached them. They followed. The lead Trinari stepped forward, speaking softly in their language. The AI translator blinked, trying to keep up. "Child of memory," the voice echoed. "You've awakened the forgotten core." K***rilla bowed her head. "Yes, Elder." Eli watched in silence. The moment felt too big for words. The Elder turned to him. "And you, human, you carry the imprint. You've touched what your kind buried long ago." Eli looked down at his hands. Why was it buried? Why would anyone erase all that? The Elder's voice was sad. "Your kind feared what it couldn't control. Long ago, when your minds touched the core, you glimpsed not just truth but each other. No more lies, no more secrets. It terrified your rulers. So they sealed the core away and replaced memory with myth." K***rilla spoke, voice tight. "They gave up connection for control." The Elder nodded. Roan shouted from behind them, still armed. "You're trying to rewrite history. Make humans think they were gods." "No," K***rilla said. "Only to remind them they were whole." But Roan didn't care. He raised the weapon to fire. A blast of blue energy struck him from behind. He fell, unconscious. One of the Trinari had acted. Calm, quick, non-lethal. K***rilla looked at Eli. "You started something. Now you must choose how it ends." Eli stared at the pulsing core. It floated higher now, glowing brighter than ever. "It can't go public yet," he said. "It would destroy people if they weren't ready. So what will you do?" The Elder asked. "I want to protect it. Learn from it. Share it slowly. Not hide it but guide it." The Elder Trinari placed a glowing hand on Eli's shoulder. "Then you shall be keeper." K***rilla smiled through her tears. "Wait, what?" Eli blinked. "Keeper of what exactly?" "Of Earth's memory." Karilla said gently. Of the truth, of the path forward. The elder spoke again. You will help awaken others, not all at once, but those who are ready. Eli took a deep breath. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel special. He just felt responsible. Then Karilla stepped forward, placing both her hands on the core. Its light danced along her skin. Eli followed her lead. The moment they touched it together, the dome flooded with light. Not just physical light, but memory. Scenes flashed across the walls, ancient forests filled with cities of crystal, humans flying without machines, thoughts passing between minds like wind. Then silence. The core dimmed. And when the light faded, Karilla and Eli stood alone. The Trinari had gone, so had the soldiers. Even Roan. Time had passed. How much, they didn't know. Eli looked at his hand. There was a mark now small, faint, glowing like starlight. The first human in centuries to remember. Karilla took his hand. You are no longer just a student. He smiled at her. Neither are you. And above them, deep underground, Earth had begun to wake up. The sun rose slowly over the Earth's horizon, casting gold light across the university dome above. Everything on the surface looked calm. But deep underground, everything had changed. Eli walked alone through the lower halls, past reinforced doors that no longer locked, past scanners that no longer scanned him. The mark on his hand, the soft silver glow, opened every path. Not by force, but by recognition. The core knew him now. And he knew it. But it wasn't just about him anymore. Karilla stood beside the core, her body stronger, her light steady. Over the past days, she had recovered fully. Her glow no longer flickered. It moved like music, like the core itself was breathing through her. Eli stepped up beside her. More dreams last night. What did you see? She asked softly. A woman, human, sitting in a forest that didn't exist anymore. She wasn't speaking, but I could feel her sadness. She had forgotten her name, but not her child's. Karilla nodded. That was one of the last voices. The core holds millions of them. You're hearing fragments of old human memories. Pieces that want to be remembered. It's so much, Eli said. I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel like I'm living other lives. Karilla placed a gentle hand on his. You're becoming something rare, a bridge between species, between what was and what can be. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the core pulse softly. In the air. Then footsteps echoed. Professor Henley arrived, holding a tablet filled with reports. He looked different now. Not worn out, but determined. Enlightened. We've kept the official report simple, Henley said. Just enough truth to keep the government off our backs. No mention of the core, no mention of what Eli can do. The Trinari helped clean things up before they left orbit. Eli raised an eyebrow. They're gone? For now, Henley said. But they'll be back when Earth is ready. Karilla turned to him. And what about me? Henley smiled. I put you back on the student registry. I told the board your anatomy presentation was a historic success. They all chuckled lightly, but Karilla's smile faded. Not everyone wants peace or the truth. Henley nodded. No, there are still those in power who fear the past. Who fear you? Eli clenched his fists. Then we don't run. We teach, we share it carefully, one person at a time. Let them learn slowly. Karilla turned toward the core. It has one more gift left to give. Eli frowned. What do? You mean? Karilla stepped forward. Her palm rested on the sphere again. Light rippled out, slow and soft. And the core spoke, not through sound, but through feeling. Eli gasped. So did Henley. They saw flashes, future echoes. Not memories, possibilities. A new kind of university where humans and aliens taught together. Children. With glowing marks like Eli's, passing knowledge between minds without words. The Earth, no longer divided by nations, but united by remembrance. And they saw something else. A threat, a shadow from the stars. A race without memory, feeding on the forgotten, erasing entire histories. The same force that once silenced Earth. And it was coming back. Karilla opened her eyes. That's why the core woke now. Because they are returning. And Earth must. Be ready, Eli whispered. What do we do? We prepare, she said. We teach. We awaken the memory in others. Because the only way to survive is to remember who we were. Professor Henley straightened. Then this place must become more than a school. It must be a sanctuary of knowledge. Eli turned to the core one. Last time, he didn't feel afraid anymore. He felt whole. Later that day, students gathered in the upper lecture hall, unaware of what had truly happened below. But the change had already begun. Karilla walked in, no longer hiding what she was. Her glow was soft but proud. Eli walked beside her, wearing no uniform, no title, but something more powerful than both. Truth. They stood at the front of the room. No one spoke for a moment. Then Karilla smiled. Today's lesson, she said, is about memory. Not just of the body but of the soul. Eli added, and about who we used to be, and who we still can become. The students leaned in, curious, unaware that they were part of the first class in the new age of Earth, not just human, but whole. And far beyond the stars, something ancient stirred, watching Earth's light grow again. But this time, humanity would be ready.